Working hard on my stump, what's the problem? I ain't had shit to show, being modest. Now it's grams of the wax for my conscience. Bron James in LA, you're on college. I've been jumping on them planes like a hobby. Still moving with the pack like my partners. Just a John on them jets cause we wildin'. But the bowl is a party on the island, moment of silence. So good, get back to the topic. Grew up, it was me and Flocka. Grandma's and Big T, this my mama. I ain't even for the pain when my pots flip. Knew his name, that's it, never bothered. Mom said, you the man, son, you got this. Ever since I found a way to go and pop shit. Hold up, blaze through a whole zip. Took a seat at the table of my first flip. Days in red roof with my first whip. Split the money with the gang, never post pics. Seen a change in the game, had to coach it. Never let them take my wangs in the mold, bitch. Ever made in a month, nigga. Used to serve him at the minute just to front, nigga. Goddamn. Had to grow up quick, I made my own rules. Had my first child, got it jumping with music. Can't really hang with nobody who losing. I thought by now that you would go and get it, but I could hardly see niggas this distant. Know you get cropped if you not in the picture. And I made that tag and went got a bag. Shots to the Henny and OG prescriptions, put rebel shit on the map. Took a leap from where I started at. Started ballin' now, I'm Chris Paul and Cass. Got him steady calling for the mold, but I'm on a roll, gotta call him back. And that's all fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. All carry-on items should now be stowed securely, either in an overhead bin or under the seat in front of you. All aisles, exits, and bulkhead areas should now be clear. All electronic devices should now be turned off and stowed, as they may interfere with the aircraft's navigational and communication systems. Once airborne, we'll let you know when you may use approved electronic devices, but note that some items may not be used at any time during the flight. You'll find a list of approved devices in the in-flight information section.
Welcome everybody to another edition of the Pocket Locker Podcast. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast, and as always, good people, I am in airplane mode. All right, gang, we got some serious shit to get into today. So let's go ahead and we're going to have a little bit of fun to get started. We're going to start off with a couple of fun clips that I just want y'all to see. Just want y'all to see. Just for the chuckles. Watch this. You got to be paying attention because this is going to come out of nowhere on you. It's going to hit you real quick.
Think honestly, you're too stupid to understand them.
Your wife has 3 baby daddies and has been married twice before.
And you...
Oh, shit, son. She dissed you. Oh, shit. Bro. What happened to Christian populism, bro? What happened to living life like the Bible, bro? What happened to... Woo! She lit his ass up. We gotta see that again. We gotta see that again.
Charlie, I just think honestly, you're too stupid to understand them.
Your wife has 3 baby daddies and has been married twice before.
You lick sniz.
Under your religion.
You lick sniz.
Oh, one more time.
Charlie, I just think honestly, you're too stupid to understand them.
Your wife has 3 baby daddies and has been married twice before.
You lick sniz.
Under your religion.
Oh, that is what I needed. Yes. And then of course, PC had to hit me up with the classic. Come on, Alpha Man.
If you're so strong, you should
Open it.
Alpha Man.
try now.
Feel it. Isn't that greasy? You grease the top. I gotta be able to grip it. Literally slippery. I can't grip the fucker. I gotta have a way to grip it. My fingers slip right off. My fingers are literally slipping off the lid.
It's so gang. It's just slippery. It's too slippery.
Tell me I'm wrong.
It's too slippery. It's all it's greasy. It's like it's oiled up.
It's fucking greasy. It's just too fucking greasy. You fucker.
Goodbye. It's not enough friction,
That's
gang.
really fucking greasy. Yeah, it's greasy.
It's greasy. Greasy like a New York City pizza. You know what I'm talking about? Gang is just too greasy. Gang is just too greasy. You know, there's nothing too hard for a true alpha man. But you know, it was just too greasy. It was just too greasy. What up, Kyle was first. What up, X? I see you. What up, Nitty? Nitty, I'm already sorry about today's show. Nitty, I love you. We're not talking about you. Nothing we're saying applies to you. That's my Nids right there. Hold it down for the Nitty. Subscribe to Nitty's channel. You know, y'all know Nitty every once in a while. Got to restart that channel. See, I fucks with Nitty. You know what I figured out what Nitty is? Nitty like the old me. Nitty understands there's really nothing like growing a channel from scratch. There's really nothing like that first 100 subs. You know what I'm saying? Can we get it to 200? Can we get it to 500? So, you know, Nitty sometimes he get a little too big. He get too close to like 1,000 subs or something like that. He feel like he flying too close to the sun. He just nukes the whole channel, start all over again. Nitty, I fucks with you. I see it now. I see the vision now. Nitty's all about that thrill of discovery, all about starting from scratch. Going over there, subscribe to Nitty. What up, Hillwood? Appreciate you. Marin's in the house. Marin, I gotta hit up your thesis for my class's project. So that's my big thing. I got to jump up into all the gory details of your master's thesis. I'm so glad you wrote it though, because otherwise it'd be very hard to explain to my students why I want to talk about infanticide, you know. They were like, what are you talking about? Infanticide, murdering your own child. All right. Yeah, we had the OG Roddy going. AR is in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, appreciate everybody for coming through. Juvenile Bigfoot. Loving it. All right. I think we're good. So let's talk about what we're here to talk about, and that is these interfaith marriages. And I gotta show y'all kind of why we're discussing this. Okay, so for those that don't know, we're discussing interfaith marriages, and we're discussing them because of Charlie Kirk. Okay, let's just keep it a buck. See, Charlie Kirk got or neck respected, however you want to put it. Some of my homies say he got neck respected, so we're gonna go with that. He got neck respected. He went into sainthood. You know what I'm saying? He transitioned. That's what we're gonna say. We're gonna say he transitioned. He transitioned to MAGA sainthood. Okay. And when that happened, he left behind his wife. Okay. And so when he left behind his wife, she just took the ball and kept running with it. People was wondering, how are we going to fill the power vacuum? Who's going to be the next leader at Turning Point USA? Erica Kirk was like, I ain't going to have none of that. She snatched the ball. She's like, I'm going to keep this grip going strong. And she just took off with the thing. Okay. So now they trying to prop her up. You know, she's going to be I guess she's going to carry on the torch for Turning Point USA. Okay. And then, you know, she was at a little event with JD Vance. Okay. And she had on her hot pants and they was kind of feeling each other up. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, gang. I think people blowing that shit way out of proportion. That hug was so square. If that hug between JD Vance, I guess I could show you. I think it's in one of the shits we're gonna watch. I can show y'all the hug. But y'all, when I tell you, if this is the type of hug that Christian America thinks is hot, sizzling, and something to speculate about, you are telling us all types of details about your sex life that you did not intend to reveal. I'm telling you like that, because that ain't the type of hug that tells me you really, really trying to do something. I'm gonna just put it to you like that. All right, and so people are starting to basically fantasy draft Erica Kirk as the new Mrs. JD Vance. And they want him to basically kick Usha to the side. Boop! You gotta go. You know what I'm saying? One of them hard martial arts kick. Y'all tell I've been watching Uncle Bobby. Whoop! I've been working on my kicks with Uncle Bobby, all right? So They want him to just kick Usha to the side because she's not white enough, she's not Christian enough, the whole nine, okay? And then they want Erica Kirk to slide up in there, and then they're gonna be like the new MAGA right-wing Christian power couple. I guess maybe he'll run for president, and then she'll be like ready to be the first lady or something. I don't really know. All right. So this has got other people who are in interfaith relationships all up in their feels because people are talking about, him just needing to kick his wife to the curb because she ain't on the right team. And I fucks with that most generally, like, yeah, like they're weird. I don't know what you want me to tell you. MAGA's weird. MAGA's weird. And when you start playing with them people, yeah, they're gonna start saying some weird stuff like you should leave your wife because she's not Christian. I don't think anybody's surprised. But it has people, even on the atheist side of things, really in their feels about interfaith relationships. And I get that people want to defend their choice to be in an interfaith relationship. And I have no problem with that. Where I start to have a problem is when there's a certain kind of virtue signaling about it to where it almost tries to dismiss or overlook or minimize the real issues in interfaith relationships and why they don't work for most people. And I feel like it has to be addressed. It especially has to be addressed in the moment that we have, because as y'all know, well, let me catch some of y'all up, because actually it's been a minute since we got to talk here on the Pocket Locker 86 channel, just me to y'all, because a lot of times we're either doing Hot Program or we're over on Skeptic Haven or whatever. But let me catch y'all up. We've started a new wave, okay? Y'all heard of the new atheist, okay? The new atheist that was like Dawkins and Hitchens and Harris and Daniel Dennett, right? And they were supposed to be all like angry or whatever, but all of them basically turned out to be neocons, except for Daniel Dennett. May he rest in peace. And then they also turned out to be a bunch of Islamophobes. But basically, the irony is they get dismissed for being too angry and too woke, even though they're all transphobes and neocons. I don't understand it. All right, and so then now you have so people don't want to be new atheists anymore. That's like, I don't know, puts a bad taste in people's mouth. So now the new thing is to be analytical atheists. Analytical atheists aren't really against religion. They're not really upset about it. Matter of fact, some of them are just happy basically to tell you they're culturally Christian, or they wish they could be Christians, or they love Christianity, or they think Christianity is beautiful, and they're happy to engage in discourse and dialogue about the intellectual merits and the highbrow conversations and the value and function of faith, okay? And that's the analytical atheism, and that's embodied by fuckface Alex O'Connor and your genetically modified skeptic and like that whole scene, okay? So you have the new atheist, and then you have the new atheist, which is analytical atheist. Okay, we are like fourth or fifth wave atheists. We are like the new atheist, okay? And the new atheist, our thing is, we're coming for your motherfucking religion. We're trying to end that shit. And number one, we're trying to do it right now. Yeah, we're not trying to have a conversation. We're not trying to drag this out. We're not trying to write books to you. We're not trying to have a back and forth conversation. We're here to tell you it's time to leave the fairy tales alone. We got big kid problems to take care of. You need to put on your big boy pants. And if you insist on wrapping everything up in your magical fairy tale narratives, we're going to send your ass over there to the motherfucking kiddie table, because we over here drinking liquor, playing spades, because we're grown, okay? So part of it is we have to understand these things are important, because all of this wishy-washy shit for people who were stuck in the new atheism or the new analytical atheism or the soft, we're going to meet in the middle and we're all going to hold hands and it's just going to be this wonderful kumbaya moment. We ain't feeling none of that shit no more. And you're fucking it up for the rest of us because everybody likes you. I'm not even gonna hold you. People don't like us. The believers don't like us because we tell them the truth. The conservatives don't like us because we tell them the truth. The liberals don't like us because we tell them the truth. The motherfucking atheists don't like us because we tell them the truth. Are y'all noticing the goddamn trend right now? The truth is not very popular with anybody, okay? So we got. We got each other because we all, for some reason, seem to like the truth. Everybody else ain't fucking with the truth, and they ain't really fucking with us. We're over it. Did y'all get over it? We're over it. They're over it. Everybody's good to go. All right, so understand when y'all come out here with all this wishy-washy, we are the world, we are the children, we can all hold hands and get along type of bullshit, and then we come in with that thing that everybody hates us for, you know it, the truth. Yeah, we come in with the truth. They don't want to hear us. They don't listen to us. They don't take nothing we say seriously because they go, well, why aren't you more like the wishy-washy nice ones? Why won't you make me feel good about believing my delusions that endorse the most evil and wretched behavior? I just want to worship my monster, irrespective of the fact that he does the most horrible things imaginable. What seems to be the problem? All right, so that's why we're gathered here. Okay, so now that we know why we're gathered here, let's get the little preamble out the way. Okay, here's the preamble. I like Jenny. I like the person we're going to be talking about. I think she's a good content creator. I think she's a very honest person. I think she's very vulnerable and real in her content. I appreciate her journey from Mormon trad wife to liberal woke trad wife, I think she would say. And she's based, like, she goes there. She talks about MAGA, she talks about racism, she talks about the bigotry, she talks about the phobia, she talks about the psychological issues, the social issues, the political issues, the economic issues. Okay, so kudos, literally regular in my algorithm, one of my favorite content creators. Okay, but sometimes we have to have these critical in-house family conversations because our messaging sometimes needs to be addressed. And a lot of times, especially with newer content creators and people who are sort of newer to the other side of the aisle on so many things, there's a lot of well-meaning, well-intentioned content that sometimes just kind of misses the mark. And it's literally the responsibility, especially those who have been around for a little bit longer, understand the pitfalls of some of these things, and also tend to have a little bit more of an ear to the ground when it comes to the intersectionality with particular marginalized communities, really having to like bring to bear sort of the weight of our experience in the things we've learned over our time in these spaces. Because I am serious about the fact that these kind of well-meaning sort of overtures to the other side are weaponized against us. And if you don't think critically about how your well-intentioned politeness might actually be hurting the movement, then we can get stuck in like a very counterproductive loop, right? Where trying to progress things forward, we're constantly getting pushback, and we're getting pushback because the people who ostensibly are supposed to be on our side are actually fueling the sort of mentality that silences the people who need to be heard the most. All right, so that's the problem. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the content so I can show y'all what the hell's going on. All right, first, let me figure out where we're at. We're down here at like 1609. We're going to come back to that because we ain't got time to be watching all this. But let me show y'all this hug because this is the hug that is really kind of setting the moment here, okay? So here, we're going to talk about this hug. I don't know where's the actual hug at? I thought it was in this. Yeah, I think it's in here. All right, here we go. All right, he's walking onto the stage. There's the hug. All right, and the stuff that people are going crazy over, she put her hand on the back of his head. He's kind of got his arms around her waist. Really, it's really her lower back. His left arm, his lower left arm is around her lower back. His higher right arm is again just on her back. Maybe they exchange a word or two, barely looks like it. They pull away from each other. She walks off the stage. He holds his hands up to the crowd. Honestly, like I said, if that is the type of hug that gets you all hot and bothered under the collar, you are revealing things to me about your sex life that you did not know you were revealing about your sex life. Mainly that your sex life sucks, is boring, and is something I definitely would not personally want to be engaged in, because that my mother could give me a hug like that. I mean, not really, because my mother doesn't actually like me and I can't stand that bitch, but y'all know what I mean. It just wasn't very sexual to me. You know what I'm saying? I need a little bit more zhuzh, a little bit more, a little bit something closer to more explicitly inappropriate is more my style. All right. Now let's jump into the part where we're going to talk about Usha, because I want to set this whole thing up again. I'm trying to give y'all context to understand why we're addressing interfaith relationships. And so in order to understand that, I need y'all to see what she says as she's breaking down the whole Erica Kirk, Usha, JD Vance thing. And then I'm going to get into this other thing that she said. And then I'm running the show. We all right. Just watch this.
The public, a close friend of JD and Usha from Yale called their relationship extremely unlikely, almost opposites of personality. JD and Usha had a mixed faith wedding where a Hindu pundit blessed the couple and a Catholic friend read from the Bible so that they could cater to both of their,
gang, I forgot our motherfucking co-pilot.
beliefs.
That would be alcohol. So cheers, okay? You know what I'm saying? We got the little vape going here for the mode. You understand what I'm saying? Cheers. Here's to you, gang. We're jumping into the content. Let's all get a little swig of the good stuff. Yeah, Christians. Yeah, conservatives. Yeah, we smoke a little, drink a little. Okay, when we do our pot, because we grown. We're adults around here. I'm damn near 40 years old. And most of my audience, I can tell you one thing about them. Most of them, they 25 plus. Yes, that's right. This is grown folks' business around here.
So they've been married a long time. Those of you who've been married a long time, my first marriage was 24 years. Even if it's not a bad marriage, it can just get kind of tired, They've been under a lot of stress and marriages get stale. Half of my friends are divorced. And we don't know, maybe they're still wildly in love, but maybe they aren't. But whether they are or whether they aren't, Usha is a problem in a MAGA world. Usha isn't popular on the right. She's a beauty.
And look, let's just be clear real quick. She's not wrong about what she's saying here. She's not wrong. I just want to be clear. That's not the problem. Problem is not what she's saying, y'all. Just pay attention.
MAGA world. Usha isn't popular on the right. She isn't a beauty queen. She was registered as an independent. She was registered as a Democrat until 2022. She isn't flashy. She isn't a Christian. And she isn't the leader of a cult like Erica is. Usha Vance is a background character. Erica Kirk is a rock star. Usha is more like Kamala Harris than she is like the typical MAGA woman, and Republicans hate Kamala.
All right, gang. I'm going to show y'all some stuff later, too, when we follow up on this. But I just have to say, this comparison bothers me. And I get what Jenny is saying. And I get that she's kind of flattening down the understanding to them to some key demographic details that are comparable, okay? And again, in her overall analysis of the issue with MAGA and their issues with Usha, she's not wrong. But there's a certain way in which this comparison is bugged out, crazy, wow, for real, for real. What are we talking about? And there's a certain level of the game, I gotta say. There's one level of the game, the intro level, political commentary 101. This is a good analysis. And again, on the surface analysis of the comparison she's making, she's utterly correct. But get into a room filled with motherfuckers that's been around the block a time or two and really understand the game. This is wild rookie work right here. Because again, you're comparing Usha, J.D. Vance's wife, who to this stage of the process really hasn't been a political person herself. Like you said, she's a background side character. You just compared her to the first black woman or I shouldn't say the first, but the first black woman to get the nod to be the presidential candidate for one of the major parties, who was also the first woman of color to be elected the vice president of the United States of America, who was also a senator and a district attorney and that's crazy work. And then think about Kamala, who y'all can say what y'all want about Kamala not being a leftist, not being progressive, not being, there's issues there, right? But to compare Kamala, who married like a regular motherfucker and just had like a regular life, and he's her support system as she goes out there and is the superstar. And now you're comparing that to a woman who literally married like old super Christian nationalist, hillbilly elegy, JD. Like it's a wild piece of work. And so it's almost like there's a way in which, again, I know who her audience is and I know the point she's trying to make and I know this works for them. But it also bothers me that it works for her, if that makes any sense to y'all. Like there was a different example that she could have gone with here, or a different way to make this point that I wouldn't have had this particular critique of. But then I'm like, really, like to reach for Kamala Harris and be like, oh, it just does something to me, y'all. Just hold on to it and come back to it later and let me know what you think.
Both Usha and Kamala are the opposite of all that MAGA holds holy in the MAGA wifey, standing radiantly by her husband's side. Here's some similarities. They both represent new archetypes of American womanhood, which I love, but I'm no longer MAGA. They're both women of color and intellect who marry power, not for dependency, not like Melania, who never had to work a day the rest of her life.
Again, Kamala didn't marry power like that. See, I mean, yeah, like he's successful as shit. It's just, it's a totally different thing.
They didn't marry these men for dependency. They married for partnership. And they have very similar educational and professional pedigrees too. Usha and Kamala don't have the homemaker wifey aesthetic. They're both highly educated lawyers with elite credentials. Here's the comparison. Usha Vance, Yale Law School graduate, clerked for Chief Justice John Roberts and Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Kamala Harris, of course, UC Hastings College of Law graduate, served as District Attorney of San Francisco, then Attorney General of California. Neither woman has that Sydney Sweeney, all-American, blonde, freckly girl next door vibe that the MAGA creeps go crazy for. Both come from immigrant backgrounds that shaped their outlooks. Usha was born to Indian immigrant parents from Andhra Pradesh. Kamala is the daughter of Indian and Jamaican immigrants. Each of these women embodies a second-generation American success story, often cited as proof of upward mobility through education and service. Neither are the classic daughters of the revolution-style basic.
But also, like, they're not, right? Like, okay, and again, like, when she started with the details and breaking down the law training and all that, I get it, it works. But again, you're describing somebody who married into fuck it, he's literally probably a Nazi leader, but I guess I guess he's stable. I guess he'll be a good Christian provider or something like that. But also, he can literally come out in front of an arena full of people and talk about how yeah, of course he wishes you would convert to his religion and stop with that silly Hindu nonsense, right? Compared to, again, a woman who was literally this close to being the first black woman president of the United States of America, who her husband was about to be the first gentleman. There's a pretty cosmic, seismic difference between those two paths, especially given the superficial similarity in their training and how they got started. Like as though it's almost like they chose totally different paths.
White woman of like pilgrim ancestry that MAGA falls down and worships. And like I say, both Usha and Kamala were Democrats. And I just got to say that as a former MAGA girly turned woke, democratic, liberal, atheist, feminist.
Oh, I need it. I need more of this.
All this stuff.
I need more of this.
Falls down.
Let me tell you something. As the only black kid in all white schools, you learn to love some white people. I talk about the racism and all of that shit a lot, but I got to give it to you, man. You really do feel like you're kind of in a different world, the world that wasn't built for you, but they let you up in this piece anyway. And I got to tell you, it's a good time. But when y'all start talking all this lefty-based, woke, atheist, liberal, you just start melting my heart. I'm inviting you and your whole family and everybody you went to high school with to the cookout. We really need to have a racial summit. We really all need to just come together as Americans. Y'all really do know how to make us feel good. Let's hear that again.
The classic daughters of the revolution style, basic white woman of like pilgrim ancestry that MAGA falls down and worships. And like I say, both Usha and Kamala were Democrats. And I just got to say that as a former MAGA girly turned woke, democratic, liberal, atheist, feminist, all this stuff, Usha's the only person in the Republican Party that I like.
I think I should make that my dating profile, like turn-ons, woke, leftist, atheist, liberal. Baby, you say communist, I'm taking my clothes off.
Like, I love her. I spent a lot of time just like reading up on who she was, because after Trump was elected, it's like, well, at least I have hope that Usha's there. And that is not a good thing for Usha, that the left likes her at all. Here's the picture, Erica Kirk. Whether or not that vibe is a big part of her power. Imagine if JD had been assassinated, not Charlie. Would Usha, as a grieving widow, draw the crowds, the support, the cult-like obsessiveness that Erica does? I don't think so, but I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. That leads me to the other bit of last week that's causing controversy for JD, what he said about his
All right, here we go.
Usha.
My wife did not grow up Christian. I think it's fair to say that she grew up in a Hindu family, but not a particularly religious family in either direction. Now, most Sundays, Usha will come with me to church. As I've told her, and I've said publicly, and I'll say now in front of 10,000 of my closest friends, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way. But if she doesn't, then God says everybody has free will, and so that doesn't cause a problem for me. That's something you work out with your friends, with your family, with the person that you love.
Come on, what's going on? Let's just back up a minute to the beginning of all of this. Erica, the brand new widow, all smiles and no outward signs of grief. This is where things got weird. Here's a picture of me after I lost my husband to a 19-year-old escort.
All right, we got to keep moving, unfortunately, just because of time. But that's where we started, right? So she makes this video, and that's the section I chose to tell you, because that's where sort of she articulated her analysis of sort of the difference between Usha and Erica Kirk, and why she thinks Erica Kirk works for MAGA, why they're so excited about it, why she thinks, they'd want to replace Usha with her. And she got some pushback in that video, and so she made this video.
Morning about my mixed faith relationship, and let me tell you, nothing.
Hang on. I hate when I cut it off. When it cuts it off.
I put up a post this morning about my mixed faith relationship, and let me tell you, nothing gets me personally more hatred than talking about the fact that I am an atheist married to a Christian. The post has been up for maybe an hour or so. I've already blocked a dozen people. I've deleted multiple comments, a lot of comments just about, that's really sad that you've turned your back on God because, the unbelievers are going to be burning in hell. It's not going to be good for them after we die. This morning, somebody commented, what a waste of a good Christian man that he's with atheist me. Now,
I just want to say that's hurtful and fucked up.
was thinking, of course, that it absolutely proves my point that religion is the most toxic, divisive, destructive thing that human beings have ever invented.
Now, remember that, right? This is her clearly articulating her issue with religion.
Religion is the most toxic, divisive, destructive thing that human beings have ever invented. Religious superiority, faithism, Christian supremacy, whatever you want to call it, means that people who do believe look at anyone, whether you're Buddhist or Muslim or atheist or whatever, as being less than. And it is in no way any different than when I was a white supremacist and thought that anyone with brown skin was like not even the same species as me. So it was okay for me to look down on them. And it is okay for all of these people to look down on me and feel sorry for my husband, who, by the way, not to toot my own horn, is probably one of the luckiest men on the face of the planet. I have all my Mormon trad wife training, plus my feminist independence.
Mormon trad wife training plus feminine independence. You're going to need to hold that right there, gang. Mormon trad wife training. Her verbiage, not mine. And
a fierce
liberal
commitment
feminism, I think it was.
People around me. Plus the luckiest men on the face of the planet. I have all my Mormon trad wife training, plus my feminist independence, and a fierce commitment to helping other people around me. Yes, I love him, and he's a gift in my life, but I am not lucky to be with him. He is not doing me a favor. He's not like
that's her microphone, not an Oreo. That's funny.
Sucking it up and being the bigger person by loving me despite my atheism. And some of these people, if they could burn me at a stake, they absolutely would. That is what their religion does to them.
Okay, so I love that. The way she articulated that was like super, super profound and I honestly think beautifully done. And so y'all are like, well, why are we here? No, we're here because some of it has like a tone to me that it's not even really her. It's not even really her, but it's something I hear overall. And I think there's like a little bit from her, and I don't think it comes from a malicious place, but there's sort of it feels like a form of virtue signaling where it's basically like bragging, like, look at me and my good Christian husband, we have made this work. And that should be proof to everybody that it can work. It's awesome. It's good to go. And if you don't see it that way, you're participating in, this sort of I don't know what to put it. I guess I'd have to put it as, well, for me it kind of is what it is, but like I don't know. It feels like you're rooting against people, right? Or you're trying to tell other people like how to live their lives. And I'm just going to tell you my take on things. And so first thing, again, rewind earlier to this because I got to kind of go for what I want to say because I've been running my damn mouth too much. But I do think that I'm a big fan of her. I think she's awesome, and I really appreciate her content and her vulnerability and all that good stuff. Again, rewind it earlier where I gave her kudos. And I have some people in my life. I won't call anybody's name, but let's just say people I think the world of, huge fan of, that are in interfaith relationships. And I myself feel like I am the biggest hypocrite about this because I literally always tell myself I should not be in relationships with believers, that I will not continue to date believers. And then, of course, every time I meet somebody that I really connect with or click with, and they just so happen to be a believer, I get filled with that spirit of, hey, maybe I'll rub off on them over time, and it's not their fault that this is where they're starting from when we meet. And do I really want to throw away somebody I'm really compatible with over the fact that we don't share a faith? And I always talk myself into doing it anyway, even though I really don't think it's a good idea. Okay, so let's just all be comfortable with the fact that we're grown adults and we live in a complex, nuanced world, and that relationships are motherfucking hard. And I do think, given the sort of social dominance of religious belief, I think something we don't talk about enough is sort of like secular mating and dating and relationships. And as I say that, I realize I'm the one who went to college to be a dating coach, and maybe I'm the one who should be talking about these things more, and I never do. So we'll consider that. We'll chop it up with the mods. But like I think one of the things we don't talk about is just how hard it is to find other secular partners. Like me personally, like I've literally gotten to the point where I thought like, oh, I actually might have a better chance of finding people I'm compatible with in the online community of people than I do like locally. And that's crazy because I literally hate long distance relationships. And I think that that is one of the most difficult things you could do to like try to start a relationship. But it's that fucking hard to meet people that you do feel like you share values with, that you do really feel like you can truly be yourself, and like, your full authentic self with, especially because it's just so hard to find single non-believers. And then when you do, there's a really good chance they're like a conservative asshole like Doug or whatever the fuck, right? All right. So, but with all that being said, right, I feel like it's really important to acknowledge why it's so difficult for people. And I feel like she gets it with all of the things she just said, right? About how religion is basically the most toxic aspect of humanity and how some of these people would burn her and all the terrible things, right? And it's like, well, that's also why a lot of us feel like you can't be in healthy romantic relationships with them. And yes, it does feel to me that when these things happen, and again, I've been there myself, but it does feel like you're benefiting from the fact that there's a whole lot of elephant in the room conflict that y'all are choosing not to address. And I'm happy for anybody that makes a relationship with another human being work. Given that I spend most of my time at two extremes. On one end, utterly hating the presence of other human beings, and also being painfully aware of how desperately I need the companionship of other human beings. If you can like synergize and make it rock with another human being or set of human beings, you'll never find me rooting against you, darling. Like you never. Nobody. I'm behind everybody's relationship. Like go get it, make it work. And she seems really happy. So that's pretty much the only thing that matters. Good for her. Right. And honestly, I feel like I've been there. And when I've been there with religious people, I felt like that's exactly what it was. Like I felt like I could still come in here into my studio and go live on YouTube and do my shows and hang out with my friends in the virtual office and link up with the gang and all that good stuff. And when it was time to be with my partner, you know, we had our time together. When she was alone, she was free to do all the spiritual, religious activities or whatever. Like, and it does feel like you make it something that's not important in your relationship. It's just something you don't really have to deal with. Okay. And again, I think that that's fine. I think that's highly functional, probably necessary in that situation. But again, I guess the thing I want to speak to is just the feeling, because I saw in her comments like the pushback and the different things people had to say. And you know, like again, I'm happy she can make it work. But yeah, I do feel like let me just put some of my shit out there, y'all. I do feel like a lot of us are stuck in abusive relationships with believers. Okay? And so I just want to give voice to those feelings. It's not to demean the people who make it work. It's just to say to the people who don't or can't, like, I hear you. And I'm pretty much there with you. So one thing that strikes me is it does feel like when you're in a relationship with a religious person, they do not take your critique of religion seriously. And I think there's a way that it's like inherently abusive, because for so many of us, it's not just a difference of opinion, right? It's not just, oh, I have different thoughts about things than you do. Like, yeah, if we're talking sports teams or what toppings we should get on pizza, like that might be fine. But the reality is, especially for former believers, is like we're talking about the source of our trauma. We're talking about the thing that may have sincerely, severely strained or otherwise caused the dissolution of, again, many of our intimate relationships, including some of our very close friendships and relationships with family, including immediate family. I could play you all sorts of clips of black people that didn't know their mothers could curse them out like that until they dared to say that they no longer believed in Jesus. Most of us fear professional consequences. I was thinking today about how, like, one of the topics of I was like, I'm teaching an actual anthropology class and the topic was religion. And in the book, like towards the end, it talks about non-believers. And I like put a bunch of like videos on a playlist about atheists and stuff. And like most of them I like took off because I was like, no, I just felt so weird about it. And again, this is a playlist that had like so many other videos, and I just had like a few at the end about atheists, and I was like, I don't know, like I gotta like introduce it first and like see how it goes. And now I could tell from like the discussion, like some of my students are like with stuff, so it's like a little bit easier. I have like a little bit easier of a in to discuss these things. But I thought to myself, if I was a Christian, I'd never worry about that. If I was a Christian, I would never have to worry about talking about religion, discussing my faith, and even talking about atheism. If I was a Christian, I could talk about atheism as much as I wanted. I could introduce it. I could talk about the new atheism and the analytical atheism, and I could do all of that and not think twice about it. But as an actual atheist, I have to be scared to death about what the professional consequences might be if a student accused me of pushing atheism on them. Again, even when it's actually literally the content and the subject matter of the thing I'm teaching them as their instructor. Okay, for the record, right? I'm not saying like I want to bring it into a math class, right? So, you know, there's so much here, right? And we live then again in this time when look at what the religious right is doing to us. Like they're literally just pissing all over democracy, right? And typically let's keep it a buck, in the name of Jesus, right? Push any of them conservatives. I don't care if they're traditional, old school conservatives, MAGA, grapers, KKK, whatever it is. Push any of them political, social buttons hard enough, and they're going to start talking about their faith in Jesus. Push the homophobe button, push the why you think it's okay to marry kids, push the transphobe, push the racism, push any of them buttons and see how long it takes you to get them to bring up their faith. I give you 3 questions max. 3 questions max, and we all know that. We all know this. We all see it happen and play out. We watched Moses Mike, the man they call Moses Mike. The man so Christian, he's his own son is his porn accountability buddy. We watched him send Congress on early vacation. I said to PC earlier, PC, you know conservatives don't send nobody on no goddamn vacation early. you know these motherfuckers with their slave master mentalities don't ever just decide everybody should just go on vacation early. They never. But we all know they did that to delay, and at that point straight out avoid voting for the Epstein files. We all know that. That's the times we live in. We live in the times when literally the Christians gave us Trump. The Christians were like, I have to vote for Trump. I'm a Christian. He's doing the Lord's work. He's God's messenger. God's messenger. They said this motherfucker was mentioned in them Epstein emails over 1,600 times. Oh, damn. I'm so glad I said that, because that reminds me of what I forgot to tell y'all at the beginning of the stream. Christianity has to go down with Trump, y'all. Christianity has to go down with Trump, because remember that the thing we love to do as atheists is we love to cherry pick at the Bible. We love to go and look at the Bible and say, look at all these terrible things that the biblical God authorized. Look at all the terrible passages in the Bible. And then remind them that that's the God they worship, which is quite clever. I mean, we should continue doing that, to be honest. But this is our chance to say, fuck all that. Let's talk about what you did right here, right now. In real time. Let's talk about what y'all have done. I'm gonna just go with 2020. Right? I could go back decades and decades and generations, but I'll take 2020 for now. Let's just talk about the Christian response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the complete shit show that has been American life since then. And all the betrayals of good faith and goodwill and public decency and trust that we have. You know, I was reminded earlier, somebody said, do you know what makes you a civilization? What makes you a civilization is how you show up to help each other. That's what it means to be civilized. To be civilized was supposed to be, and this is civilization. We've elevated the social constructs that made villages, in tribes, in clans, in communities, and we've transformed it to a social contract that people just are now born into. And we don't let people starve. We know that you have to be educated to have a shot in this complex as fuck world that we live in. So we believe in educating everybody. I wanted to send a shout out to PC and Kyle and a whole bunch of y'all out there and tell y'all that a lot of y'all women, I need y'all to step up. I know that sounds fucked up, but hear me out. We need to return to the mommification of America. I need us to get behind our mothers. I was thinking about, first off, these brave women applying that pressure, getting them Epstein files out. These women are literally our last hope of saving democracy. But on some real shit, it's like, I just need that mom spirit that knows what it's like, because you're like, yeah, kids are supposed to fucking eat. Everybody needs a fucking roof over their head. Everybody should learn how to read and write. What the fuck are we talking about? Yes, all the children need medicine. What kind of dumbass shit are you asking me? Like, you know what I'm saying, y'all? I just need us to get back to some basic moms showing up. We really do need a women's movement in politics in this country. We should really fuck a religious test. We should have a fucking gender test up in this bitch. If you're a man, you're presumed unqualified until you prove otherwise. Women are now the only people who are presumed to be competent enough to have the human skills necessary. I'm not saying men can't participate in the process. You could be a non-woman and still get you up in the, but you're gonna have to show us some shit first. That's all I'm saying. I need the motherfucking moms up in this bitch. That way we could take care of the basics again. You understand what I'm saying to you? It's fucked up in here, but I'm sorry, moms. I know y'all already doing everything. I know you're already doing everything, but can you add saving democracy to the list while you're on your way back home from the grocery store, after work, after your workout, after your stretch, after your spiritual session, after your meditation, after your volunteering? Oh, look, we gotta laugh together sometimes, yo. We get us fucked up. But look, that's really what I had to say. Is it's really difficult to be in a relationship with people who don't just kind of ignore your lived experience as a non-believer, but actually worship the source of that trauma. They might take 10% of their income, and before a dollar of it hits your household, the church has gotten theirs. Think about that. Some of us are in relationships with Christians who really believe in tithing like that. And we have to you gotta kind of lay there in bed and think, I escaped the motherfucking cult, and the motherfucker laying in this bed next to me that I just gave the business to is sending them money, is singing songs to that monster on their way to work, wants to take my children to the cult with them for a weekend hangout and teach them the monstrous stories that traumatized me as a child. Oh, and by the way, they are preaching a message that centers on hatred of non-believers. That is the deep, dark, dirty secret that no atheist wants to fucking talk about, that no atheist wants to confront Christians with for some fucking reason. Again, I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Bundy's biblical math. We know that the religious indoctrination of whatever flavor is the core of the bigotry and prejudice against the LGBTQ community. Again, just fuck with the numbers. Am I saying if you got rid of religion, you would get rid of every transphobe and homophobe in the world? No. But I'm saying put 100 of them motherfuckers in a room, get rid of religion, and 90 of them no longer have any fucking justification for their bullshit. That's what the fuck I'm saying to you. And the rest we can just ignore at that point. Now, no matter how you fucking slice it, interpret it, which version you get, which language you read it in, which fucking denomination you're a part of, none of that shit. The most you could stretch and backflip and tap dance your way to is a handful of passages. There's a few very explicit, very gross passages and some stuff that they really twist and contort to somehow be related that probably ain't even really related, but that's it. Yet it still justifies literally the lion's share of persecution of that community. And so and you know they say they bullshit. Oh, it's not hate. Oh, I love them. I love them enough to tell them the truth. And oh, I'm a filthy sinner too. It's just, my sin is no better or worse. Like all the bullshit. Again, I'm not gonna fucking ask the believer, shut the fuck up. Y'all use Christianese. Y'all use words wrong intentionally. Y'all know that bullshit. I'm not gonna ask you. I'm gonna go ask those marginalized people. I'm gonna say, what's up with y'all? Y'all said somebody hates you. Who hates you? Oh, they hate you. Oh, does what they're doing to you feel like hatred? Well, then it's fucking hatred to me. Oh, why did they say they're doing it? Oh, they said they're doing it because they're Bible. Oh, okay, well then that's the motherfucking story we'll stick to. They hate you and they hate you because their book tells them to. Heard it loud and clear. Robin said, don't forget I'm single. I fucking love you, Robin. Me and Robin going out like Bonnie and Clyde. Robin, we can't get together because if we do, we go 86-47 and that's gonna be our goddamn honeymoon right there. I love Robin so much. All right, y'all. So it's really difficult to be in a relationship with somebody that worships the source of your pain like that. And then there's this way to where you have to be in that relationship and you have to almost like pretend this isn't that serious and isn't that important to you. And then they have to be constantly ignoring the messages about unequal yoke and how fucked up it is to be with an atheist. And let's get back to that math real quick, because I lay it out like this. Most of the hatred for the LGBTQ community comes from these religions, and at most, it comes down to a handful of scriptures. Now, think about the volume of scripture dedicated to the enemies of God, the heathens, the people who reject God, God's enemies. Just because they didn't use the word atheist don't mean atheists don't recognize that they fucking talking about us. And the whole purpose of the book is to define what determines if you are God's people or not, and what the fuck will happen to you if you are not. That is what defines Christian existence. You have to believe in Jesus to be fucking saved, dumbasses. Your atheist motherfucking ass can, by definition, not be saved because you don't believe in Jesus. Which means hell is the destiny of you. We all fucking know that is the goddamn central message of that thick ass motherfucking book. So once again, there's a few passages dedicated to LGBTQ people's had them all the way fucked up for the entirety of human history. What do you think the reality of being a fucking atheist is with the entire Bible dedicated to convincing them how fucked up we really are? So you have to be willfully ignoring that. And again, like, sounds like the only way to get a Christian to get along with a serious Christian that I know of. Right? That's what we're celebrating. And there are people who have articulated this really well. Maybe we'll revisit it some other time. But basically the idea that the only acceptable form of the religion is the practice of it by people who don't take it that seriously. But that just means to most of us that both of you are ignoring that elephant in the room. And again, I applaud you on an interpersonal level for doing that to make your relationship work. And I'm not suggesting that you change that, because if that's what works for y'all and you're happy, then you should literally not give a fuck what I have to say about it. I mean that sincerely. But what I want you to understand is how that can be weaponized against us. And to be honest, I think Jenny would understand it. I don't think she's going to listen to this. But if somebody drops her the link and she happens to check it out, I think she'd be totally sensitive to what I'm talking about and probably wouldn't take it personally. I think she's a grown-ass woman, and she would hear me trying to give constructive feedback as a fan. So that's the risk there. It's not that, and I just want that to be clear. And I think this is how a lot of us feel. It's not that we root against people when they tell us that they're in a relationship with a believer or something. We don't like lose our temper or get mad or feel betrayed or whatever. But we do want space for it to be recognized why there's deep incompatibilities there. Why there seems to be a certain degree of a power dynamic, because that's really what's happening. What's really happened is part of our social evolution is we're becoming more aware of power dynamics and just how much power dynamics can alter the trajectory of a relationship. With that being said, let me show y'all something before I have to get up out of here. I wanted to show y'all this, because for me, this might be part of the story. I have more to say about this, but we'll revisit it.
4 years of being a Mormon gave me some habits that are still impossible for me to resist. Kev's been out of town for 3 days, and I know that he's going to be home within the next hour. And as soon as I know that Kevin's coming back to Tucson, my brain automatically clicks into Mormon homemaking mode. And it's almost like when your baby's about to be born, like that last week when women will go into like nest mode. I have this crazy nesting mode that I cannot resist. And I'm not a stay-at-home mommy, right? Like, I have a company that I run. So first I had to download some of my photos for one of my clients that I filmed for and make sure that my podcast was posted and all of that was done. Then I decided to clean out the whole entire fridge and pantry. That stuff's waiting to go out to the garbage because I didn't want Kevin to come home to a dirty fridge. I have polished all of the furniture, made sure that the shelves and everything are all dusted off, getting ready to vacuum and then mop. And I ran to Trader Joe's to get something so that I could bake these muffins from this is a Mormon prepper cookbook. I actually have 2 copies of this because my grandma, when she got it for me for Christmas, she knew that I loved it so much. She wanted to make sure that I had a backup copy. Can you tell how much this book has been used? These are the muffins I'm going to make in a minute. I walked to the farmer's market to get some amazing bruschetta. Basically, I'm doing a full-blown Italian dinner complete with wild harvested pomegranate, Italian sodas, and pasta and handmade bruschetta. And then I wasn't filming, so I didn't have to wear makeup all day, but I did my contouring just for Kevin, because what kind of a Mormon girl would I be if I let my husband walk in that door without some blush on my cheekbones? My studio's a mess, but I'm just gonna shut that door. I stripped the sheets, washed the whole bedding, cleaned out my drawers, got rid of all of my summer stuff. I'm doing literally all of my laundry all at once. Okay, so things are a little bit messy right now, but an hour from now.
Fucked up shit is I'm literally sitting here thinking this is me before a date. This is still me on date night, not even gonna lie to you. But look, I think part of the thing that I picked up from that was she really does lean into her Mormon trad wife aesthetic lifestyle kind of thing. And like again, who am I to fucking judge? But I think for a lot of people, again, that's a source of potential tension. Because what I heard is like when Uncle Bobby talks about battered women, not that I think she's a battered woman, let's just be clear, but he talks about the thing where they find their sense of purpose in the abusive spouse. And like when you ask them their opinion, it's like, well, John said we had a good time last weekend because John thought the movie was really good, and then John thought our team won, and like, and this felt like very like, oh, like she like leans into like that's her style of wifing. And maybe that helps it work, right? Because if you're into that, it's kind of a traditional kind of flow to things, and then he's got his own traditional flow to things, and it works. And I could imagine somebody with like a very traditional kind of lifestyle preference and aesthetic, like having a little bit more compatibility because you can kind of fit into a functional framework of a person, even if you don't necessarily have the same underlying motivation for it. And like that's cool. It just feels for me like for a lot of people that's kind of part of the package, and so we're not necessarily comfortable leaning into those things. I know even myself, I find myself really struggling, especially when I date women who are believers, because I find that they do have more traditional preferences, even just in terms of behavior. Like they prefer a more like a man who's going to take charge and make decisions and plan things and whatever. And me, I'm like, if you tell me you want me to plan something for us, like I'll plan something for us. But if you're just like, hey, you want to get together this weekend, I'm going to assume that we're going to have a back and forth conversation and figure out what the game plan is and make a decision together because we're both grown ass fucking adults. And so it's like sometimes like I've realized that like I've been off-putting to certain people because I'm just not going to assume that role, because to me it just doesn't feel like the type of dynamics I really want to assume. And like when somebody like has those preferences, I have to kind of check myself and be like, oh, like that's how they want me to roll. Like I guess I could do that. And then it becomes much more of like a performance. It's just like, oh, that's how they want me to be on dates or whatever. So I do it if I'm into the person, but I'm not, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying, I just think that type of thing is easier for some of us than it is for other people. I also think for other people, like, they're comfortable, they're having a good time, they're enjoying their life with their partner. And to be honest, the whole religion experience, religious trauma, whatever it is that they might be dealing with, may not be as urgent or pressing, or you know what I mean? Like there's a difference between even like chronic but sustainable levels of pain or discomfort versus acute injury. Like I'm bleeding out right now. I think for me, when it comes to this religion stuff, I think I live in a perpetual state of like, I'm bleeding out right now. But I think that's because I've committed myself to the urgency. And even when I find myself getting more comfortable or finding like a new level, like where I'm like, oh, I'm going to really speak my mind on this. And then that kind of changes my tone about things. I'm constantly checking myself with the sort of a sort of pre-existing commitment to always trying to discover new sources of urgency. So I'm not even engaging in a truly reflective process of like, should I be pushing the urgency. I'm like, no, we know we got to push the urgency. We don't ask that question anymore. The only question is what's the next angle of attack to increase urgency in the community. But I'm recognizing that not everybody lives there. And to be honest, I don't really live there. I live there when it comes to creating content. And then I have to also go about being a functioning adult in a world full of religious people that you kind of just mostly have to kind of ignore throughout most of the day. But yeah, so again, I'm trying to make sure there's space and room for everybody to do what they need to do to take care of themselves and be happy in their lifestyle choices. But I do feel some kind of way when people make it seem like there's something wrong with those of us that don't function or can't function or choose not to function in interfaith relationships. And I do think we should speak about it because I think it's largely something that people sidestep by accepting a certain power dynamic. That's kind of what got me started on showing y'all her leaning into that aesthetic. Like, that aesthetic produces a certain power dynamic that, she's probably comfortable with. And again, that's cool. And also I think, like, she has, like she said, like her feminism and her independence, and so she's not bothered by, wifing it up. And I think that's powerful, like, because I think part of the problem in society is that we try to constrain the way we express ourselves, right? And I think whether it's your ethnicity, your race, your heritage, your gender, your sexual identity, your communicate, just who you are, your personality, whatever it is, like, express yourself and don't let anybody limit how you do you. But at the same time, be mindful to make sure that people don't use how you do you against people that you align with and care about in a way that you wouldn't want them to. So that's what we're here to just acknowledge. And with that being said, like, much love to everybody in interfaith relationships. I don't always understand how you make it work, but I do think it's a powerful example that you do. I don't know if it's something I could do or make work, and I don't know if it's the world I want to live in. I think as somebody who really wants to end religion, I want to live to see soon the world and where people just realize we don't need religion and we're better off without it. And so I'm always hopeful that the people in the interfaith relationships, I am always hopeful that the atheism will rub off on the believer. But I understand that we may not get there, or that we're certainly not there yet. And again, I don't even know if us atheists can even connect with each other in a way sufficient enough for even most of us to really even be able to self-select the way we probably like to. I would love to see some actual research and data on that. I literally think you could probably quantify how difficult it is for atheists to meet other atheists in real life, especially if you don't live in or near a major city. I'm fortunate enough to live more or less in the shadow of New York City, and it's still fucking impossible. If I lived in New York City, it'd be less impossible. But yeah, that's it for me. I'm gonna get up out of here. I got some other stuff I want to say related to this, but it involves kind of other content creators, so I'll save that for another stream. We'll kind of take it into a different direction. Sorry, Tsunami. Yeah, what I mean basically is, like, if atheists really decided that they weren't going to date believers and they were only going to date other non-believers, the way believers oftentimes suggest that they should only date believers. I don't even know if most of us could do that. And I think it would be heavily geographically dependent, but in any case, you'd probably be able to quantify how much more difficult it is as any kind of religious minority if you chose to do that. So just to say that I think that reflects a case where for a lot of people, it still feels necessary to at least consider relationships with believers, because it just your options may go from few to nil if you didn't, and I want to be sensitive to that. That's all. Christian men are scary. Hells to the no. Yeah, it's hard. I don't know. Like it's where I'm at with my own family. Like it's where I'm at with my family. Like I just can't get down with them because it's just like I know what your belief system really says about me. And I feel like being around you and being okay with you practicing your beliefs openly in front of me is literally me just saying that it's okay. And I'm not going to give you both. I know you're going to choose your religion despite how fucking untrue and god awful it is. And I think that's another thing is I think I've really gone there with my family and confronted them about it. And I think when you do that, you actually do feel differently. Like, you've told them it's not true. You've pointed out a lot of the really horrible, monstrous shit to them. And so then they really don't care. And so you can recognize the ugliness for what it is and just say, like, yeah, I don't fuck with that anymore. And that's kind of where I was going to take it, which is there's been some other people making content about why they really don't allow believers into their life anymore. And I think we should explore some more of that style content, because I do think for whatever reason, we could get into it some other time, this community leans super heavily into what I almost want to call like a reconciliation-based perspective, where it's like we feel we have to include believers in our plans to build a better future. And then because we feel compelled to include them, we then have to focus our effort on getting their cooperation and collaboration. And I really do believe we need to decenter them completely and really commit to building the world that we want to live in, where religion does not have power. And in the interim, we need to create that reality for ourselves. And so that means, to me at least, really gaining our independence from religious people, even religious family and friends, so that we can truly feel our ability to be autonomous and whole without dependence on people who feel compelled to dehumanize us. Because I don't think it's really healthy for our psychology to ignore that. I don't think it's really healthy for us to continue to give our time, energy, love, and intimacy to people who refuse to see our humanity, and people who don't care that the thing that gets them to still worship our humanity is absurd, clearly not true, and we can point out all the evil shit. And so we've got to recognize that, like, that's some serious fucked up narcissism. And to maintain a relationship with somebody who takes those beliefs seriously requires you to accept being in a narcissistic relationship. And it requires you to accept that dehumanization from potentially the most intimate relationship you'll ever have on the planet. And again, if that's okay for you, more power to you, I guess. but I hope you spend a significant amount of time, especially if you're going to make content about interfaith relationships, really taking seriously why so many people think it doesn't work on both sides. Because it feels like if you're going to take their side seriously, you got to understand that for a sincere believer to be laid up next to somebody they think they're going to hell with, to plan a family with somebody that doesn't believe in their God. Yeah, most non-believers just that's asking for a life of conflict and turmoil. And totally radically changing their orientation to their communities of faith, right? Because if they marry another believer, their orientation to their community of faith is going to feel fully integrated, fully celebrated, fully realized in its Christian potential. Whereas they're stuck in a relationship with you, all they're ever going to hear from their community is, we told you shouldn't stay in a relationship with a non-believer. Yeah, we told you that's not going to work. Yeah, you know the Bible says you can't be unequally yoked, right? So they got to accept all that, or they could be like your guy and just not give a shit. But again, understand that his not giving a shit is by definition not doing it right. Like, it's like, don't get us wrong, we think he's doing it better, but we only think he's doing it better because he's not taking it that seriously. Please understand that the very nature of religion is you're supposed to take it seriously. I got to remind people this all the time. The ask of Christianity is not really just that you believe in the narrative of Jesus. The catch is, if you believe in the narrative of Jesus, then they can compel you to dedicate your life to Christ. It's really dedicating your life to Christ that's necessary to find yourself deserving of the eternal carrot. So yeah, that's a real big ask. And then on our side, you have to understand that many of us escaped the cult, and we'll die before we truly are able to shed the pain in loss that resulted from our affiliation with this religion. And to be with somebody that not only still affiliates with it, but worships it, for me is a feeling of a kind of feeling of betrayal and minimization, something that makes me take somebody in my life that I think should love me, and I should be really, really big, I should be really important to them, and it makes me feel this small because they really don't care. They've heard what I have to say about faith. They've heard what I have to say about religion. They know, for a lot of us, that we have a channel dedicated to it. In her case, right? She has a channel dedicated to it. Thousands of people tuning in to all her content to hear her, to share their pain and their discomfort and their misery. And he takes his little narrow ass to church every Sunday and praises that Jesus. So I'm going to leave you with the title of the fucking stream. If that's how you get down, that's fine. But sleeping with the enemy is not a virtue. All right, y'all, I got to get up out of here and go to bed so I can teach tomorrow. I love y'all. Have a good night. Thanks to all the mods. If you're watching later, please answer the question of the day and hit us up in the comments section. Please like the video, subscribe.